Right behind me, you can see the sign for the U.S. State Department. They're having the Summit for Democracy right now, and we are here. This is the Center for Political Innovation. We are here streaming outside the summit. So we're protesting this.
He said that Russia was only a democracy when it was being destroyed. He said that Russia was only a democracy when it was poor and suffering and being bought out by foreign interests. He said that Russia is only a democracy when they have no sovereignty, when they're actively being hollowed out and destroyed. How can any American speak about democracy in a foreign country when our version of democracy is nothing but despotism and destruction? And now that we have a leader of Russia, Putin, who actually stands for the people of Russia, who actually defends Russia from foreign attacks, now we say that they're an autocracy. Now we say that they have no democracy.
Perfect.
When a country stands up for itself, we call that autocracy. We call that despotism. And when a country does what America wants, we call that authoritarianism. We call that autocracy. How can this be? When a country does what America wants, we call that democracy. We should call that autocracy. And that's why I said it. But
yeah, so we just had the Summit Against Hypocrisy here in D.C. There were a lot of speakers there exposing the lies. Now we're actually outside the Democracy Summit. You see our banner there. It says Democracy Summit equals war propaganda, and we're opposing it. It was a really great gathering we just had, and now we're at the actual event. We got people here calling out the bullshit pro-war propaganda show Joe Biden's doing, the Summit for Democracy, demonizing Russia, demonizing China, demonizing Iran and Venezuela and Cuba and all the anti-imperialist countries. So this is a really, really great gathering. We're just going to keep protesting out here, exposing their lies.
That if any country defies what America says, then we are going to shut them down. It is the exact opposite of democracy. It is a global empire which seeks to destroy any country that stands up against America and replace its government. Look at Ukraine. Ukraine's government was overthrown twice in the last 20 years. Ukraine's government was overthrown twice by Western interests in the last 20 years. The first time we did it in the Orange Revolution, we didn't achieve our aims because they started to have sovereignty once again. So what did we do? We did it again. And this time, we did it with Nazis. This time, we used the Azovites and the Banderites to overthrow the government of Ukraine in the Euromaidan. People talk about how Ukraine is a democracy. How can Ukraine be a democracy when Zelensky outlawed every single party other than his own? How can Ukraine be considered a democracy when the people of Ukraine are being thrown up in war? If Ukraine was a democracy, they would have surrendered by now. They would have a peace deal. The people of Ukraine would be living in peace and prosperity and making deals with their neighbor countries instead of working for U.S. interests. Instead, we have a puppet government of Ukraine which claims to be a democracy. A puppet government which uses things like LGBT rights to pretend that they have universal human values as they slaughter the people of Donbass incessantly, as they destroy any Russian identity that they have. The Russians and Ukrainians are a brotherly people, and American government has turned them against each other. How can you call that democracy? How can you call that democracy?
Woo! Great.
Today, Anthony Blinken convened a panel on women's rights and equality, and I'm here to say the biggest threat to women's rights and equality is war, and the warmongering purveyors, Samantha Power, Anthony Blinken, Joe Biden. That's the biggest threat to women's health and security, is the purveyors of violence, the purveyors of destruction, to destroy clean water, to destroy energy, to destroy jobs. It's the economic basis that they're ripping out from other women that is causing them to starve, that is causing them to die at the hands of senseless violence for the sake of shoring up our crumbling democracy. Equality does not look like being nice on Twitter. Women's rights are not destruction. Anthony Blinken, this is bullshit. This is crap. This is setting up the destruction for women and children, for innocent civilians. We will not accept this bullshit democracy summit. We're here to dissent, to offer real dissent. We will not allow the American people to just be exposed by the warmongers.
Sure. Yeah,
I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah. We're countering the democracy summit that's happening
We
here.
just want to know what's this?
What do you mean?
It's the Center for Political Innovation. We're exercising our right to free speech to criticize the actions of the U.S. government.
Okay.
Yeah, the democracy summit. He's trying to build the case for war. You know, right? So we're opposing
I
it.
just want to know.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Cool. Do you want to hold the thing?
Sure.
It's just streaming. Yeah. Biden's bullshit democracy summit is happening. And it is not about human rights. It is not about freedom. How's Libya doing? Libya used to have the highest life expectancy on the African continent until Joe Biden and his friends in the Obama administration stirred up some human rights protests. And now Libya has open-air slave markets thanks to these people. That's what their human rights and democracy spreading brought to Libya. People are drowning in the Mediterranean trying to get out of the hell these lying, regime change, color revolution scumbags created in Libya. The people of Libya are dying. They fed us some of their human rights propaganda and destroyed the most prosperous country on the African continent. And they did it in Iraq, too. Biden said they had weapons of mass destruction. We heard human rights. Joe Biden was saying that Saddam Hussein was a dictator. Look what they did to Iraq. They killed hundreds of thousands of people. Iraq has been destroyed. Hundreds of thousands of people are dead, all based on human rights, democracy, bullshit lies from the U.S. State Department. The Summit for Democracy is nothing but a bullshit war propaganda show. They're trying to build the case for new wars, to strengthen terrorist groups, to strengthen drug cartels, to create instability, to make women into
That's the
human
State
trafficking
Department.
victims, to
Right
make more
there.
refugees.
We're right in front of the
This is a
State
war
Department.
propaganda show.
Right now.
They don't give a shit about the Ukrainian people. They don't give a shit about the people of Taiwan. They don't give a shit about the people of Venezuela or Cuba or any of these countries.
Right there.
They want war. That's what they want. This is a war propaganda show. The Summit for Democracy is nothing but a war propaganda show. That is all it is. It's a place to gather together the kind of people who stage color revolutions and create instability in countries all over the world, grinding countries into poverty to set the stage for war, to make sure that the big banks and big ultra-monopolistic corporations stay at the center of the global economy. And just like they destroyed Libya, and just like they destroyed Syria and Afghanistan, just like they've attacked Venezuela and prevented them from importing food, just like they bombed and destroyed Iraq, they're now destroying our communities here in the United States. They're destroying Pennsylvania, they're destroying Ohio, they're destroying Wisconsin, they're destroying all parts of the United States. It's not about democracy, it's about grinding the world into poverty so a few big ultra-monopolistic corporations can stay rich. They are waging a war against the people of the world, and they're waging a war against the United States is ruled by big banks and big corporations, and bullshit gatherings like this is how they set the stage for more wars against any country that would dare break free. That's the reality of this disgusting propaganda show. At a time that Americans are not having their water properly purified, our roads are falling apart, billions of dollars are being sent to Ukraine, and millions of dollars are being spent on a bullshit war propaganda show called the Summit for Democracy. We say it's nothing but a summit of hypocrisy. The Democracy Summit is a disgusting war propaganda show, and that is all it is.
Sage?
The stream didn't die, did it?
No, it's going.
Okay.
You got a telegram call from a guy who fouled it. I shouldn't say that.
You're fine.
The media tries to convince you that you can make someone's life
Yeah.
No, we dissent. We want all Americans to know that they have every right to dissent. That we do not want a new world war. That we do not support a new world war. That our country's reckless leaders, that our country's genocidal leaders, purveyors and proprietors of war, that we will stand up against them, that we will dissent. We want jobs, we want quality of life, we want clean water and education. We do not want to export war. We do not want war and terrorism funneled to Nazis in Ukraine. We say no.
No.
We do not support a third world war. We do not support war against Russia or China. We do not support genocidal sanctions. We do not support starvation for people abroad. We do not support sanctions.
These big financial institutions that control our society, they want to create an open society. And what does this mean? This means an open society like an open wound. An open society
Elizabeth,
like
do you want to hold the...
defenseless person. They want to destroy all notions of sovereignty in this world that go against the demands of these bankers. They want every single country to be bought out and financialized and parasitized. They want every single country to be subject to universal abstractions, universal monetary and human abstractions that destroy the peoples of the world, their culture, their sovereignty, their economic and cultural independence. They want to make every single country a slave to America. Every single country that we call our allies is on our chain. Europe, they are our dogs. Europe does what we say, and when Europe does what we don't like, we tell them they can't do it. Europe did our bidding. Europe helped us to bomb the Nord Stream pipeline. It has been revealed by Seymour Hersh in his bombshell report that America bombed the Nord Stream pipeline, a pipeline that was an international agreement between Europe and Russia. We bombed their pipeline. We had no right to do it. Our leaders openly admit that if this pipeline was created, we were going to somehow deal with the issue. And we can see exactly what happened. They dealt with the issue. And that is exactly what we mean by democracy. That is exactly what it means when we say we want to bring democracy to another country. It means that we want to destroy all notions of independence and sovereignty that they have. We can see now that the BRICS nations, China and Russia especially, are trying to build an alternative political order in which countries can stand up for themselves and they can make deals that work for them rather than deals that work for other countries. And we see the amount of development. These countries that have chosen to partner with China, they've built infrastructure, they've built everything that they need to become a wealthy country over time. And they've been able to become more and more strong and sovereign and have control over their own national resources rather than being subject to international finance. But when these countries stand up for themselves, we call them autocracies. We say that we need to bring them democracy. We say that when African countries voluntarily make a deal with China for long-term infrastructure investments and development that is going to help them to stand up on their own for the first time in centuries, we say that that is an autocracy, and we say that they have no right to do it. We would sooner destroy their infrastructure to keep them down than ever support them in any way. The only aid that we give these countries is designed to keep them reliant on American aid. It is designed to control their information, to control their thought, and prevent them from having any kind of independence.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This democracy summit is proof that America is not a democracy. Why? Poll after poll after poll has showed that the American people are sick and tired of the wars. But yet, even even though the American people have said over and over again they do not want more wars, our government is spending millions of dollars to put on a war propaganda show. Why? Because this government in Washington, D.C. does not represent the people. It represents the big banks. It represents the oil monopolies. It represents the weapons manufacturers. The American people don't want war, and we don't want your bullshit democracy summit that's about setting the stage for more wars. We reject it. We see what happened in Libya, how the terrorist groups got stronger, how human trafficking was on the rise, how a prosperous African country was destroyed. We saw what happened in Iraq. We saw what has happened in Syria and in Afghanistan. U.S. wars make the world poorer. U.S. wars help the terrorist groups and make them stronger. All over the world, show me one single place where U.S. regime change has made people better. One single place where U.S. regime change has improved people's lives. Show me one single place that the color revolution apparatus, the democratic activists who get paid by the U.S. government and supported by the CIA, show me one place that their actions have made the people better off. They said, oh, the Soviet Union is an evil thing, and they tore down the Soviet Union. And what did they bring? What did they bring to Eastern Europe? Poverty, misery, human trafficking, drugs, misery. They said, oh, Saddam Hussein is so awful. What did they bring to Iraq? ISIS, terrorism, death, refugees. They said Gaddafi is so bad, he's violating human rights. Look at Libya today. This is bullshit. It's bullshit. Don't get fooled by them. They're human rights propaganda. They manipulate Twitter and Facebook. Check out the Twitter files. They rig social media to make sure we get pumped up full of their regime change war propaganda lies. It's all bullshit. And this democracy summit is about setting the stage for new wars and demonizing China, demonizing Russia, demonizing Cuba. Look at the Cuban people. Despite a U.S. blockade on Cuba, they still have the highest life expectancy in Latin America. And yet, the U.S. government has done so much to try and destroy the socialist government in Cuba. The Regime Change Democracy Summit is about setting the stage for new wars, and we reject that. The American people want jobs and schools and health care and education, not AK-47s and M16s for Ukrainian neo-Nazis. That's what they want. The American people want schools and jobs and post offices and teachers and health care and power plants and water treatment facilities. They want new economic opportunities. They want paved roads. They do not want to send new weapons, bombs, and missiles to Taiwan. The American people have said over and over and over again they don't want these wars. So the fact that this bullshit summit is happening shows you that America is not a democracy. America is run by billionaires and bankers, bloodthirsty vampires who do love war. But the American people want peace. This is an anti-American summit. It goes against American values. The American people want peace. The American people respect the self-determination of countries around the world. The American people want a stable world with peaceful development and win-win cooperation. This democracy summit is anti-American. It's against the American people. It's against democracy at home and the American working class. It's a bullshit war propaganda summit.
I'm getting tired. A little bit. Okay, I'll take it. All right.
At the end of World War II, America, we were in a very happy position. We were very happy, tactically maneuvered. Initially, we said we would fight the Nazis, but we didn't. We waited for them to go west, and then, only then, did we decide that they're evil and we have to get rid of it. No American in World War II ever said, oh, we gotta stop the Holocaust right now. No! We saw them go into European countries, we saw them go into our allies, and that's when we decided they were bad. When we thought the Nazis would be nothing but a hammer against Russia, we said we would fight them. We didn't want to be necessarily associated with them, but we didn't actually fight them. We sat back and waited, and we wanted them to just destroy Russia. Now, if you see what's going on in Ukraine, it's exactly the same. We're trying to use Ukrainian Nazis, many of whom identify with the Azov Battalion, many of whom associate themselves with the SS Galicia division that was part of the Nazi operation, and associate themselves with Stefan Bandera, who even the president of Ukraine was forced to praise because of his popularity in these groups. Now we want to use those Nazis again as a hammer against Russia. The way that America sees it, we have a unipolar system, and we believe in so-called Pax Americana, where we create peace around the world. But the only way that we create peace around the world is by creating a consensus among the world that you do what America does or you're dead. After World War II, we may have secured a temporary unipolarity, and we may have become rich for a while. And there may have been a time when homes were affordable, and there may have been a time when we thought that the future was bright and we could hold on forever. But that's not what happened. What happened is, and this is what always happens, it all goes to the top over time. The middle class is destroyed, people are becoming more and more polarized into the upper class and the lower and lower class. Our economic business, the Federal Reserve, it's all designed to suck wealth to the top and destroy the working class. When things go south for the American empire, the workers are the ones who suffer, and the rich are the ones who take everything they can. That's how it works. And so they're betting on another world war. They're marketing another world war to the workers of America and saying that if we destroy the parts of the world that are trying to create sovereignty now, we will be able to loot Russia and China, to destroy all of these sovereign countries, and in order to have their resources at a low cost, in order to have their labor at a low cost while they live in poverty conditions and while we get to enjoy our temporary middle class once again. We believe, and Americans are being taught to believe, that we are going to secure this extra wealth, this extra middle class, this paid union workers, this professional managerial class, right? All of these middle class people, we're told that we're going to rebuild the middle class simply by improving America's global position.
So yeah, we're outside the State Department. We just had a great summit, and this is really important. We're out here opposing Joe Biden's regime change summit, and you know, a few of us are still in town. It was a huge conference this weekend, good number of people there, and now we're outside the State Department countering Joe Biden's democracy summit. It's pretty good. I'm really glad we're here. I'm really proud of these folks. We're having a great intervention here. Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is the place we got to be. We got to oppose their wars.
And more than what they worked for, and more than what we genuinely sold on a balanced and fair international market. Rather, we seek to break international markets and extract super profits from other countries, which we imperialize in order to give Americans more than they earn. How can we have a country where the biggest parts of our economy are finance, insurance, and real estate? What value does that produce? What value does that give to another country? We can't sell American homes to China. We can't sell American banks to China. So how the hell do we get anything out of it? The only way is through militarism and manipulation, and that's exactly what we do. The way our ruling class sees it, war is an investment. War is a way that we're going to get more for ourselves. But the investments aren't working, are they? We're losing time after time again. Since Vietnam, how much have we won for our conflicts? Nothing.
Yeah.
We need to think differently. We need to stop thinking as an empire, and we can see that all of this so-called democracy is nothing but the justification for more imperialism and war. We can see that this is a dying empire that is trying to justify itself by claiming to have the moral high ground on issues
like LGBT, on issues like racial justice, but we can't claim this in any way whatsoever. We cannot claim to be a racially just society. We cannot claim to be a fair and equitable society. We cannot claim any superiority over another country. And it has been demonstrated time and time again that only the rich are represented in American democracy. We did not vote for these wars. We did not vote for any of this. Our unions are bought out. Our unions don't represent the people. The unions that give people the wealth to be reactionaries, that give people the wealth to sit and say, oh, I deserve more. I deserve more than the average worker. These unions are destroyed because we no longer have the excess surplus wealth to give them. We can no longer buy them off. The solution that they propose is more failing wars. The solution that they propose is an implosion and a destruction. And the only way around this is for us to reform our banking system. The only way around this is for us to have peaceful development within our own country. But the ruling class will tell you we can't do it because that's communism. The ruling class will tell you that we can't have peaceful development and cooperation with other countries because that's not democratic. They will tell us that we can't have peaceful development and cooperation because why? You know, why? Sometimes it's because nobody even presents it. Why are we one of the few groups that's presenting the possibility for an alternative system? Why is the left bought out, impotent? Why aren't they fighting for these things? Why can't we have a real peace movement in the United States with teeth, rather than these weak peace movements that have no alternative other than living in the woods? Why do we have nobody that's advocating that we can learn from China and learn from their banking system, which, by the way, was informed by America's banking system back in the day. It was informed by our system that helped to build up our country. Why is it that we don't have anybody who's advocating for this? The reason is simple, because they buy out group after group after group. The Center for Political Innovation, we are not bought out. We are not bought out. So please consider joining the Center for Political Innovation. We need you. We need you. And we are one of the few groups in America that is authentically advocating for a new system based on peace and cooperation between other countries. Almost every other group will advocate for such a thing and then stub its toe on some kind of extreme, controversial belief. Every single group that's like this will stub its toe because in order to secure funding, it is bought out by bankers and Open Society Foundation and other groups that seek to neutralize these groups and turn them into nothing, make them weak. Why am I one of the few strong voices on the left? Why is the left so weak? Center for Political Innovation. We want to rebuild the left. We want a real left in America. We want real strength coming from the American people, and we want a new system.
Yeah. So everybody, we've been going for about a half hour now, but we've been on the bullhorn and stuff. I'm going to give other people just a chance to chat because we're here. We're protesting the Democracy Summit. We're outside the U.S. State Department. But yeah, do you want to make any comments, Sage?
Yeah, sure. So, Joe Biden says that we can impose democracy on other countries, but this isn't the case. China, there have been many Western studies on China, and they conclude that the President Xi Jinping, his approval rating is above 80 to 90%, even Western studies. And Americans just don't believe this because we can't imagine liking our leader so much in our broken system. And we think that even though our own people don't approve of our own leader, that we can impose democracy on other countries. And this just isn't right.
Cool. Yeah. No, yeah. We're out here. We're protesting. Does anyone else want to make any comments to the audience?
Oh, sure. Thanks for watching. I think you know that where we stand, that the American people aren't our enemy, that mean words don't equal violence, but violence equals violence, and And the violence of the State Department is depriving people of food and water and electricity. And that's the violence that creates destruction. And that's the violence that funds these terrorist groups. And that's why we're here. And we thank you for your support. Share this stream.
Absolutely.
I think I've said everything I could say. My voice is hoarse. Join CPI.
Hi everybody, I'm Jim. We've had a great weekend here at the Summit Against Hypocrisy, speaking out against Joe Biden and his lies. And we hope you'll all join us as we fight against Joe Biden.
Yeah. No, it's been a great weekend. We had a number of speakers. Jyoti Brar came in from the United Kingdom. She was there at our summit. We had Dr. Wilmer Leon and Garland Nixon. Nick Brana, the head of the People's Party, was there. It was a great summit we had this weekend, and so we're just kind of continuing it. A few of us are still in town, and we're here protesting against the actual Democracy Summit. We hope people will check out the Summit Against Hypocrisy. A lot of videos coming up soon of our counter summit that we did to Joe Biden's event. I know, Ryan, Class Analysis, he gave a great talk about finance and economics of imperialism. He's in the chat right now, and yeah, it's gonna be great. Wait till you see what we did this weekend with Scott Ritter. Scott Ritter was amazing. The whole audience was chanting Scott, 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 Scott. It was really amazing what we did. So yesterday we went to the Museum of the Victims of Communism, which is a war propaganda museum that basically glorifies fascist anti-communism. And here we've been out in front of the State Department while they're having their bullshit democracy summit opposing it. So yeah, it's been a really, really exciting weekend. A lot of great video is coming up. It's been good. We're getting the word out there. The American people must unite with the people of the world against the big banks and monopolies and corporations that are destroying this country. If you really love America, you should oppose these wars. And the American people do oppose these wars. Overwhelmingly, the American people are against the wars that the people in this building set up, that they set the stage for with their propaganda, their human rights propaganda. The American people are against these wars. And yet they are putting on a war propaganda show. That's what our banner has said. Democracy Summit equals war propaganda, because that's what it is. And we are out here opposing it. And we're going to continue to do what we do. We've been in D.C. We're going to be speaking up in other parts of the country. We know the president of Taiwan, she is coming to America. She'll be in the United States tomorrow, and she is going to be going around begging for more weapons, hoping to provoke an escalation against China. We're going to be opposing her because she's full of shit, and she's a war propagandist. We're going to continue to call for peaceful reunification of the Korean Peninsula. We support the people of Cuba and Venezuela. We support the people of Iran. Yeah, we are anti-imperialists, just like the American people are. And our leaders are bought off by the big banks and corporations that are destroying America. So we want to thank you all for watching. It's been fun. Keep your eye out. Peter Coffin, the comedian who was with us, he's making a great documentary about our summit. Wait till you see it. It's going to be awesome. So we're having a great time out here speaking truth. The danger of a new world war is hanging over our heads. So you can check out the Center for Political Innovation, CPIUSA.org. We're standing against wars and empire. This war propaganda show, this so-called Democracy Summit, we're against it. We are against it. So anyone else have anything they want to say before we close out? Anything else? Right? I like to keep streams going as long as I can, right? We're out here. This is the State Department, the U.S. State Department. So there you go. Any other thoughts anyone wants to add?
Expert who will do your taxes
for. Good? All right. Well, it's been fun, folks. How do we always end the streams? A new upsurge in the struggle against U.S. imperialism is now emerging throughout the world. Ever since World War II, U.S. imperialism and its followers have been continuously launching wars of aggression. But the people of various countries have been continuously waging revolutionary wars to defeat their aggression. And while the danger of a new world war still exists, and the people of all countries must get prepared, revolution is the main trend in the world today. While the danger of a new world war
in Mexico, authorities identified 28 of the 39.
Woo! There we go. All right, folks.